The Naked DJs podcast. Are they really naked? We know they expose themselves every day just so they can bring you the best of music. They like to stick it out there for everyone to hear. You can hear their podcast on Anchor.fm, YouTube, and any of your favorite podcast platforms. Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by Georgia-based music duo, Banjii and Mayuri. They have just released their project called Uncommon Love Story, which is a compilation of original songs that tell a unique story, each one of the songs, but are cohesively linked together. And each song is accompanied by music videos that are shot in scenic locations across the United States. So we're going to be talking to them about their unique project and what they got in the works and anything else that they want to talk about. So Banjii and Mayuri, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. We are honored.
Well, why don't you guys start off by telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
You just did a good job.
But maybe we can start with how we came together. So Banjii and I actually grew up in different parts of the world. I am originally from India, and I moved to the US in 2011 for my MBA to Atlanta and made my way around all the different parts of Atlanta and eventually landed in Decatur, right next to Banjii's music school. So we both had houses in the same neighborhood for many months till we actually met. We met at an artist market that Banjii was hosting in his music school and art gallery right at the beginning of the pandemic. And then we started writing songs together. I don't have prior experience in songwriting. It's been Banjii's career for his whole life. So it started out more with him teaching me. And then as the project evolved very quickly, we realized that we were writing some good music that was creating this impact beyond what we had initially imagined, and that eventually blossomed into both a relationship and a marriage to each other. and this project called Uncommon Love Story. So I will let Banjii give his version of the story, and then we can talk about the project later too.
I feel like I'm in a courtroom all of a sudden. No, that's how it happened. It was interesting though. The first song that we released for Uncommon Love Story, it's called Copper Lines. And initially, when I met Mayuri, she bought some paintings from my gallery, and then I started teaching her lessons. That's all true. And then she went and visited Sedona in Arizona and came back, and she's like, hey, I wrote my first song. Can you put music to it? And I hear this song and I was like, holy cow, it's really good writing. And we put music to it that very night, the first time, like right after she got back from Sedona. And then the next week at our lesson, she's like, hey, let's record a record and like go tour the US next year. And I was like, that's cute and all, but I've got my own thing going. I'll record the record for you. But I'm not just gonna like go tour the US. Well, look at me now. I'm touring the US in an RV with Mayuri.
Well, I've heard a couple of other people talk about Sedona, Arizona. Sound like Mayuri, you went to Sedona and you really got it rolling. Tell us what's so good about Sedona, Arizona.
Really got it rolling.
Yeah, well, so Sedona has a long history. And what inspired me was we were on this tour with a tour guide who was taking us around energy vortexes. And the story is that these are like spots on Earth, and they're spread out all over the planet, where there's concentrated vibrations, and those vibrations and that energy, it can cause transformation, healing. And so he was taking us around these different spots, and the first song I wrote was about this concept of transformation. And it happened to be the harvest moon, and the harvest moon, which happens every September, it also represents transformation. So it all came together, like in Sedona at an energy vortex, and it's the harvest moon. So that's how the song begins. It says, "The harvest moon sets at the break of dawn." So that's the first line of the song. And this idea of transformation, healing, and salvation, I've been thinking about that for many years, and I've been working on that personally for a very long time. But that moment represented me being able to now share that journey with others. And the music gave me a platform to tell that story. And that's how, the whole thing started rolling, as you put it. And here we are.
Well, tell the listeners, if somebody asked you guys, what kind of music do you do, or do you write, or what do you consider yourself, what would the answer be to that?
We've had a lot of conversations about this.
This is a big marital fight of ours.
Yeah, this is a sensitive topic.
I call it singer-songwriter because I do all types of music.
And
I write all types of songs, but we've been toying around with psychedelic folk rock or pop, or whoever likes us, we're that genre. we won awards with like heavy metal film festivals and rock festivals
and Indian festivals.
Festival. Yeah. So I know people do like to know. So for the listeners, just pull up your Spotify and whatever that playlist that you like, that's what we are.
No, I mean, the reason why we're calling it folk is because it's stories. So every song is a story and a conversation. So that's the folk part of it.
But that doesn't mean that we won't have like beats and crazy stuff. And
that's why we add the psychedelic and rock terminology, because to imply that it's folk but with a psychedelic rock twist. And a lot of, actually, the other thing about the music and our album is that it's also based on this concept of the 7 chakras. That's an Eastern concept. And the concept is that the human body has 7 energy points, and those energy points, each of them carry a different emotion. If the energy flows through those energy points freely, then you're balanced. If it's blocked, then you will have issues regulating emotions associated with that chakra. So the 7 songs that we have written, of which we have released only 3 so far, they kind of loosely follow that concept one by one, the 7 chakras. And so some of the music has this psychedelic feel to it that incorporates all these different vibrations associated with these chakras. And so that is another reason to throw in the psychedelic label to the music. But at the end of the day, as Banjii said, it really comes from like the heart and the intention, and we're not really trying to stick to one specific genre. We're just trying to tell the story in the best way we can.
Right. So if it needs to be a reggae song, it will be a reggae song.
Yeah.
What's the truth? Yeah.
So before
but right now, the 3 that we've released are pretty straight up like folk rock.
Absolutely. So
We
before
haven't
we get
gotten too
in,
crazy yet. But the next song, holy cow, we're getting the children involved. It's going to be epic.
absolutely. So before we get into the project, Banjii, let's talk about your music school. Tell people about your music school and what you do and how they might can attend if you still have it and if somebody out there might want to attend.
I closed the music school to do this project, but I had a music school in Decatur, Georgia, in an area called Oakhurst for 3 years. And prior to that, I had a music school in Dahlonega, Georgia, the mountains, for 12 years. So I've been teaching a long time. Before that, I toured as a professional musician, but I still teach on Zoom. We have an interesting travel schedule though, so I accept new students for Zoom right now, but they have to like put up with my travel schedule
And bad internet.
and bad internet sometimes.
Well, what do you teach them if somebody joins your school?
So my music school was the one in Decatur. I collaborated with several artists. We made it beautiful. We built 15-foot tall sculptures, and I taught every instrument there. So nobody was ever turned away. And so I teach people any instrument, except for the pedal steel.
And why don't you teach the pedal steel?
Well, I don't know the mechanics of it. If somebody, I actually have given a lesson to somebody on the pedal steel, but they already knew how to play it. So I gave them more of like a music lesson. But the pedal steel, do you know about the pedal steel?
No, I've never heard
Oh,
of it.
it's crazy. It's like a 12-string instrument or something, but you have levers on your knees and your feet that control how the pitch of the string is. So it's like the headiest instrument ever. I have no idea how it works.
Wow. Well, let's switch over and talk about the project Uncommon Love Story. Just kind of tell us about that. And you guys are interesting. You got videos for every song shot all across the United States. Just tell us how it came about and anything you want listeners to know about it.
Yeah, so the reason for having music videos along with the words and the music is to really bring the story to life. And the reason why we chose to do this across the US is because the US is so diverse in terms of just the culture and all the things that every state or part of the country has to offer. And our music is somewhat like that as well. It's diverse. And so the goal is to bring different parts of the US back to the other side. And through that, we are hoping that it promotes a sense of connection and unity across the country, showing different people, different things that they may not have seen about a state that's far away, on the other side. And at the same time, also showing them things that are similar and promoting connection through music and film. So that's the reason for traveling the country to do that. The other reason for traveling the country is it's also beautiful to interact with all the different kind of people and bring their vibrations into the art. Because we have driven around so much in the last 4 months. There were times we were driving across state lines. We're in one state and 30 minutes later, we're in another state, and all the rules are completely different about everything pandemic related and just in general, and just to experience that. So it's a jarring experience to go from that to the other state in like a few minutes, so that has also been, it's also personal. It's very healing for us to experience it all in this way.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about like she was saying about being jarring is while we made a plan to do this, it's an improvised plan. So I think what Mayuri was trying to say is that we decide that day where we go. We don't have it all charted out. So we're going with the flow in a very like all the way.
And when you guys shoot the different videos for the song, for the music, do you have a team, or are you just doing all this?
We've built a team now, but it's all been last minute because that's how we do it. We do it like in terms of the recording of the music. I've built a team of people from the years I've been in it, but the film crew and the photography and different things, that all came about organically of me calling around trying to find somebody who knows somebody that can do it tomorrow. But now we've got our guys, and we're using the same editor for we use them for all three. And he filmed one. He was supposed to film the last one, and he was going to fly from Arizona. We met him in Sedona, and he was going to fly to Georgia, had tickets, and his friend was going to fly, and they both got COVID. And the day before. So we had to find somebody, and I had a 2-day shoot already planned, everything paid for. And so we had to find somebody that was available and good at the last minute. And we did. It's this young guy, he's like 21. He goes by 10. He's a Mexican cat. And now 10's our friend, like, and part of our team. Going with the flow.
Well, speaking of going with the flow, besides this project that you guys are talking about right now, Uncommon Love Story, do you have any upcoming projects that you're working on, or is everything just by the seat of your pants on that as well?
We're doing this till it's done.
Yeah, so we have 4 more songs. We've done 3 of them. We have 4 more to go. We know the songs. We have a plan for the next video and the next project, and so things are a lot more planned now that we've had the first 3 down and ready to go. The other thing we've done is we launched a record label called Kahani Records that is basically what Uncommon Love Story is under. And this record label, the goal of this label...
we signed ourselves to our own record label. Yeah. We're the first, Banjii and Mayuri is the first artist under Kahani.
And then the other thing, exactly, and the other thing that we want Kahani, and we have been working on projects or launching them soon, is the goal of Kahani Records is to empower artists, some of them that may not have opportunities through mainstream record labels or mainstream media, and the goal is to give them that platform that we are now creating, so that we can promote them through it. A couple of examples are things that we're working on with our children. There's an animation series that's in the works to be released at some point soon. There's another, like a comedy show that we would like to release. And then
and our children are 14 and 12, but they're producing some really good art.
And that's the thing we've noticed, is that the biggest surprise for me has been how exceptionally talented the Zoomer generation is. I have interacted both in a business capacity, because I also have my day job actually is doing mergers and acquisitions, and I do that with my company PricewaterhouseCoopers. And the music in Kahani Records is stuff that Banjii runs day to day as the CEO, and I contribute during shoot schedules and on weekends and after hours. So whether it's through my day job or whether it's through these projects, I am completely blown away by the caliber of the Zoomer generation. I'm still trying to figure out what makes them so unique when it comes to art. But the young kids, and perhaps it is because of where we are as a society today, and the amount of pressure that's on these kids, pressure that probably wasn't there 20 years ago, 40 years ago. Regardless, they're creating some incredible art. So a lot of our focus, our team members, are people that are younger, because we are, one, able to leverage like some exceptional talent that they're bringing to the table at an incredibly young age. But we're also giving them opportunities at a time like a lot younger than they would probably have had otherwise. So you'll see a lot of our parallel projects be showcasing younger talent across the board.
So Banjii, tell us how you came up with your name. That's an interesting name right there.
I know it's not a family name.
That's why I'm asking. I'm curious.
It's funny. You actually don't want to know the story?
Absolutely, because it sounds like the name of an instrument.
Right. So I do play the banjo, and I was doing this gig with Kina Boto. Hey, where you live? What city are you in?
I am in Kansas, Junction City, Kansas, right now. Gonna be moving to Wichita here pretty quick, but I'm in Kansas.
Well, I was just curious. So it was an Atlanta-based band, and my keyboard player is Russian, and his last name is Swetlowski. It's like 15 letters. Sasha Swetlowski. So I go to write him the first check I ever wrote him. And I like looked it up on the internet to spell it correctly. I was so proud. He's like, yeah, can you rewrite it for Alexander? And I was like, sure. I was like, so Sasha's your middle name? And he was like, no, I only have two names. He was like, in Russia, Sasha is the affectionate form of Alexander. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I want an affectionate form of Jason. Because I'm Jason Kenny. I'm Jason Michael Kenny. I have 3 first names. And anyway, so at the time I was trying to name the band too, and I was just talking to my friends, and like it turned into Banjii, and I like spelling it with the J-I-I because there's 3 dots, and I have 2 children, and I trained people at that music school to call me Banjii. And it's so funny, they naturally say it affectionately, like, hey, Banjii. So that's where it came from.
Yeah, that's pretty cool right there.
I was kind of thinking like banjo and yogi combined. I don't know. Absolutely. But that was my process, and I stuck with it.
So why don't you guys throw out your contact information so people can stay connected with you? How do we listen to your music, and also tell us when the project is going to be complete? Is it out right now, what you have, or you just going to wait till everything done?
No, we've been releasing them every 2 months. So starting in September, we released our first, and we just released our 3rd last week. And it's on all the platforms. The videos are on YouTube. You just type in Banjii, Banjii, and Mayuri, Mayuri, and it'll come up. Or you can also Google kahanirecords.com.
Exactly. And our email address is info@kahanirecords.com. So that's Kahani Records is spelled as Kahani, and records, records. And the word kahani actually means story in Hindi. So that's the origin of the name of the record label and the business. And so to repeat, the email address is info@kahanirecords.com.
Sweet. Are you guys on social media?
Yes. So on Instagram, we are Banjii and Mayuri. And on Facebook, we are also Banjii and Mayuri, except on Instagram, it's A&D. On Facebook, it's and the sign. So you can find us there as well.
Okay. You guys want to since you guys like to fly by the seat of your pants, you guys want to put together a little bit of acapella for the listeners so we can hear what you sound like?
Ooh, we bought a one-way ticket to freedom. Spending all that money, she was leaving. She said, how many hearts you gonna break today? I see them all walking out the gate. If you follow the rule, love is the law. Rich or poor, it's the same for all. Follow him to the other side. They don't die, you're free tonight. They don't die, you're alright.
So that's going to be the song for our next video.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you guys coming to Kansas?
Do you have a place for our RV?
I figure you guys probably have something set up to come this way.
Yeah. Not yet, but
now you've given us a reason to do it, so we're gonna try.
Yeah. Hey, you tell us what's
Absolutely.
good in Kansas, and we'll be there.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you guys close us out with some final thoughts?
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, Banjii and Mayuri is more, it's a movement, it's music and art, but for the most part, it's a message. And our message is, truly we're in this together. I know everybody says this, and it's perhaps the most relevant message today, but we want to truly bring that to life. And all our projects going forward, we're going to try and, showcase people, which includes perhaps even the listeners. So if there's anyone that has any ideas to bring to the table or to collaborate with us, please, 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 we will really appreciate it. Reach out to us. And thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Everybody share their stories. That's what we're here to help people be able to. And that's it.
Yes, please share your stories and also share this wonderful episode with this wonderful music duo. Check them out, support them, follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. Hit them up, let them know how you like their music. And also, Android listeners, go to the Google Play Store and download the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast app. Banjii, Mayuri, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.